Woo! Happy Sunday. How is everyone doing today? Mars, how are you?
I'm
Sunday.
good. I had a very exciting Saturday yesterday where
Ooh.
we went down to a comic shop that I don't normally go to, and then we went to a little toy store that I frequent on the occasion, but the toy store has recently got into doing comics and was having a sidewalk sale and went a little crazy.
Ooh. I like crazy. I've seen some of your pickups. I don't know if I've seen all of them, but I've seen some of
She's
them.
seen most of them.
Okay. And so I know that you're going to show those off a little bit later. So I'm excited because those are some fun things. There's a little toy shop nearby me, and like they have some fun toys, but then they do have some like comic single issues that were just like scattered on a table, but they're not anything that I'd be like, that I wouldn't get out of dollar bin, but I don't think they're charging.
Oh no,
more
I
than
got
$1,
some
so.
good stuff.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. As a friendly reminder, we've got merch.
We
So
revealed it last week.
we did. And y'all are some weirdos for buying our merch. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, Sheena sent me a message or tagged me, I guess, that her order had shipped, and I immediately went into a gay panic. Why does it have to be gay? I mean, why not? But I immediately went into a panic, and I'm like, oh my God, people are going to actually be getting the stuff that we have worked on, that we've designed, and people are going to actually be wearing it. And it's like one thing that you guys spent tangible, real hard-earned money on it, but it's another that you are going to be out representing our brand because you like us a small amount, I guess, or a remote amount. I don't know, whatever. So we're thankful. So yeah, Casually Comics merch is now shipping out. People should be getting their orders starting this week. When you do get it, tag us in your unboxings, tag us in your photos, because I need to see it, because I still haven't bought any Casually Comics merch yet.
Yeah, I want to see all the stuff. You get to see like what people have like we don't know who it is, like it's private in that way, like where you don't get to see like who's who, but we do get to see the merchandise that people like, and it's just really cool for people to be like, oh, I want a Boy Howdy shirt or #Hear Me. So it's
y'all really like that "Make It Gay, You Coward" stuff.
Yeah.
And then with good reason.
Yeah. It's a good catchphrase. So something we've wholeheartedly believe in.
Wholeheartedly believe in and preach. We preach it too.
We heart it with our whole here. I'll go ahead and say hello to some people in the chat. Good afternoon to Travis. Thank you so much for being here, TM. Hi, friends. Happy Sunday. Hello, Niall. Hello, everyone. And hello to my friend Scott. Scott and I got to hang out last night, virtually, digitally, in this similar kind of space. We got to talk about, I think I put it back up on my, but we got to talk about a little book called Mouse over with Comic Chop News and the gang. So that was kind of fun. So we did.
Do you believe I've never read Mouse? I've never read it, and I currently have it on order from the library, but it's like so backed up right now. I think I'm like 7th in line, and there's multiple copies in the state, and I'm like, oh, this must be a good book.
It really is. I highly recommend it. It's one of those books that I feel like is necessary for people to read because it details life in like pre and during Holocaust. So really good, very heartbreaking. So anyways, yep.
And that was over on Casually Comics last night, right?
That was on Comic Chop News.
We are Casually Comics. I think I was looking at Casually Comics and I said that, and you know how that works. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to try to drop a link to that, because I caught a little bit of it last night and it was really, really rad.
Awesome. Let's go ahead. JD Barry, hello all. And then Wednesday spoiler, here and ready for the comic book gospel. Look, I've got some books today. This was a light week for me for reading. I read about half my stack. So, anyways, Surge. Oh my God, the ladies Beatles. Yes. Miss So, hello. Yay, morning, ladies. And our friend Stapled Spine. Ahoy. Hoy Comic Sabbath. Yes. Travis TM says I have never read it either. Once again, really
At
good
least I'm
book.
not the only one.
Yeah. There was one person last night, or two people last night, who hadn't read it either. So it was cool exploring that. Jen Mars, I love with the shirt. You guys' hair. Thank you. See a t-shirt with both of us ladies on it, on a shirt.
I don't know if I'm brave enough to put myself on a full-blown t-shirt and have you guys wearing it yet. Maybe one day.
I think, can we get fan art? Do we
Listen, we put out a call for fan art last week because I'm like, put on Twitter. I was like, bro, we've been doing this a year and a half and not a single piece of fan art, y'all. I'm disappointed in y'all, but at the same time, I understand.
And y'all don't want me to do the fan art because it'll be like stick figures and it'll be disgusting.
What's type of fan art though?
It'll be disgusting and grotesque. Excellent. Okay. So, while we're still waiting for maybe some other people to join, we have some news. What's been going on this last week?
We're starting right off the bat with violence, right?
Ugh.
It's Sunday. We're here for Comic Church. We're here for violence. I think it's time. We just talk about it. We just peel off the Band-Aid. Yeah. Our favorite person in comics, one of our favorite people in comics, Mr. Frank Miller. No relation to Fart Smeller Mark Millar by any means. But Mr. Frank Miller.
No, I think that they may have something in common.
They do. They definitely have something in common, and that is that they like the smell of their own farts. So Mr. Frank Miller, known for doing Sin City 300, the critically acclaimed, for whatever reason, Dark Knight Returns, announced this week that he would be launching a publishing company. Frank Miller Comics?
Is it Frank Miller Presents? Frank Miller Presents or Frank Miller?
Either Frank Miller Presents or Frank Miller Press. Either way, it sounds very fart smellery to me that you are creating a publishing company with your name on it and you're only publishing your own books.
I do know that there was a mention that it was going to be like bringing on creators to help. What am I trying to say? Trying to help foster the industry to do something. So I think that there are other creators coming through, and I know, like, what is it? Sin City 1858 or something like that is going to be one of the titles, and then maybe redoing Ronin is going to be another one.
Is it anything that we actually need? Like, at this point, I'm convinced. When I saw this announcement, I looked at it, and I looked at the headline, and I clicked on the article, and I read in the article, and I'm convinced that this publishing company is my villain origin story, because not only is it Frank Miller creating a publishing company, he is doing it with fucking Dan Didio. And if you know me, me and Dan Didio have this unspoken rivalry. We've actually gotten into it at conventions. I don't like this man at all. And the fact that it's the two of them teaming up, it's like they want to hate me. So I feel like the only way that we can combat this is if we got like a Gail Simone and Tom Taylor publishing team up.
Ooh. I would read anything.
I would back that. Yeah. I would spend $1 million on that. I don't have $1 million, but Gail, I would give you $1 million to do that.
Apparently, Scott brings this up. So apparently Frank Miller Press is also backed by the same people who are responsible for the whole Jodorowsky's Dune shenanigans, where they were taking Alejandro Jodorowsky's Dune and they were going to try to turn it into like an NFT. So this is part of my villain. I currently have 2 villain origin stories, and one is turning Jodorowsky's Dune into an NFT, and 2 is not renewing Our Flag Means Death season 2. If I don't get that soon, that's going to be my villain origin story.
Yeah. And we officially hit 10 minutes and 33 seconds before Jen started talking about Our Flag Means Death. It's fine. Yeah. It is what it is at this point. But I just think that this is ridiculous. And like, I gotta put it, I mean, I know that there's definitely people that think this is a good idea and that we're probably cheering behind their phone, but it's a very small minority of people You know, and we all know the type of people that they are that you know, are happy about this. And it's not my type of people. That's all I'm gonna say.
You know, what I will say though is that when I was first getting into comic books and like reading graphic novels, I was reading like a lot of Batman. I really love Batman. But and so of course, you know, was reading Frank Miller, and I was reading Sin City and I liked it. Like I didn't hate it, but then I think as my taste evolved,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I feel like a lot of this is just gritty for being gritty's sake as opposed to really adding to the story. Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense because that is exactly what it is. If we look at The Dark Knight Rises and everything that encompasses it, it is literally gritty for the sake of being gritty. And that's why you have things like the Snyder Cut, because it's gritty for the sake of being gritty, and it pines Frank Miller as its only source.
Yeah. One of the things that I found underwhelming about this announcement, other than the like crypto stuff and just being very underwhelmed by Frank Miller and Dan Didio, is that they're only going to be putting out like 3 to 4 titles a year. And I understand that they could have a conservative estimate, they want to build it up, but I'm like, man, if you're like going to do it, like
You might as
do
well
it.
just do it.
Do it. And I think there's enough recognition behind those two names where people are like, oh, I love Frank Miller, let's go ahead and buy whatever the heck he's doing these days. But I would think that if they could assemble some creative teams, they could be a force. I don't know.
It honestly just, without it being bad idea, it feels almost like bad idea. Everything about it kind of reminds me of the Bad Idea marketing. And speaking of Bad Idea, what happened to them? Is Bad Idea around? Do they still publish comics? I feel like I haven't seen anything from them.
They now do donuts.
Wait, are you being serious?
I am being 100% dead ass serious. Let me go ahead and pull
They
this
went from
up.
doing comics and they're now doing donuts?
That was like an April Fool's type thing. Yeah. Let me see here. They now do donuts. Bad Idea. Hello, donuts. Yep.
Oh, but look how cute their logo is. I love it.
Like I'm here for hello. I'm here for donuts. Don't get me wrong, but apparently, I think that came out on April 1st. So I don't think that they're actually doing donuts. I think that they're just like, please let us be a little bit relevant. Please, still try to, even though we were relevant for maybe a couple months.
Yeah, and then we went down. What other news do you have? What other? I believe there's one other. It was a very slow week this week, but I think there is one other piece of news that we have.
I think the biggest news, and you texted me about this on Friday or Thursday. Friday, you texted me. Comic book legend Neil Adams died at age 80. Apparently he passed away due to complications of sepsis, is what I read. So I know that the industry, I mean, on a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0. But and just as a comic book industry, we have seen and are going to start seeing more and more of this happen, where these people who were at the forefront of the comic book industry, they're going to pass away. So Neil Adams passed away.
Mm-hmm. And Neil Adams was known for being a big reason why the Comic Book Code of Authority was disbanded, alongside Denny O'Neil, especially when they did the Green Lantern, Green Arrow runs, which is probably one of my favorite runs of all time.
Yeah, and was a very big advocate for creators' rights as well. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think that ever got resolved. I think that, it's
still a fight we're doing.
Yeah, nothing but room for that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. But like you said, it is because, a lot of these legends are older, and, it is, we've seen, with Denny O'Neil, with Marv Wolfman, I believe, or is, mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, actually. There's so many.
Wow, hold up.
There's so many I don't want to say it, but there's so many old white dudes that it's getting hard to keep track of everybody. That being said, I'm trying to say that in the most respectful way possible.
Marv
But
Wolfman is still
Marv
alive.
Wolfman is still kicking. So Marv,
Wow.
sorry to
I
you,
got scared
pal.
for a
I
second.
love
Sorry,
you,
Marv.
muchly.
Yeah.
But it's a shame and it's sad. I did meet Neil Adams. I'm not going to go too much into detail because I'm not trying to disrespect somebody, upon their memoriam. But I personally did not have a great experience
Ooh.
with Neil Adams. So I find it hard finding sympathy when you haven't had a good interaction, and we'll leave it at that. But yeah, our love and thoughts go out to all of his family and his colleagues, and it's never easy when we lose somebody in this industry.
Yeah. What's that dang quote? You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and sometimes you're someone's villain. You're someone's, I don't know.
That's a good line. I like that. You're someone's villain. I like that.
Ooh, is that the next Casually Comics?
This Casually Comics merch limited edition.
Yeah.
You're someone's villain.
You're someone's villain.
So, but that's all the news we have. Usually we go a little bit longer on news, but it's been kind of slow.
We really do.
Did you get a chance to? We talked about it last week, but did you get a chance to finish Heartstopper or even watch Heartstopper at all?
No. I had to watch Our Flag Means Death.
So I see how it is. You can blow up my phone constantly for Our Flag Means Death, but when it comes to Heartstopper, which I'm gonna be honest has become my Our Flag Means Death, I see how it is. It's fine. It's fine. It's cool. It's whatever. It's whatever. I get it. It's cool. Cool.
I do need to go and watch that because
watch it.
I reread the first volume, and I love it. It's adorable. So, and from what you've said, Heartstopper is pretty closely.
It's so accurate. Look at the clothes, Jen. Just focus on the clothes. The clothes are the same, and it's insanity to me. So this is my plug. If you have not watched it, please watch Heartstopper on Netflix, and then go and read the graphic novel because there are 4 of them, and the final one comes out in January.
Oh, I thought the last one already came out.
No,
okay,
the final one comes out in January. So very excited and very sad to see the end of that.
Want. Womp
womp. But we have actual comics that we have to talk about.
We do. We actually read those. We're not just spec people that are like, you should buy this and invest in this. We actually read our comics.
You read comics.
I mean, well, I say that. I always say that. I'm like, we actually read our comic books, and here I am with like half my stack not read. So,
but you'll read it eventually.
I will. Chat, I want to know, do you want us to start with indies? Do you want us to start with DC, Marvel?
What do you want from us?
Yeah. Do you have a lot of one or the other?
Do I have a lot? I don't actually know. I want to say that I'm pretty even this week. I think I might have the least in indie, but I think I'm pretty even this week.
Okay.
I'm pretty proud of myself on that.
It sounds like Scott and TM Travis are both saying indie. Yeah. Half my stack is variant covers.
Facts.
Look, I only got like 2 variant covers. And one was because I'm like, the last time one of these came out, it ended up blowing up. So I'm like, I'll just go ahead and I'll be a little bit of a speculator. Okay. Start with Spawn, says Scott.
Do we read Spawn? Do you read Spawn? I don't read Spawn.
I got one of the Spawns that came out recently. Was it not Gunslinger or was it King Spawn? It was one of those.
Gunslinger, Kingslinger Spawn.
Kingslinger.
That's a hell of a title. Gunslinger King Spawn.
Gunslinger King, or is King Spawn? Yeah. Okay. I literally have, just so you know, excuse me, 2 DC books, maybe like 3 or 4 Marvel, and then only a couple of indie this week.
Only a couple of indie. So we're gonna have a nice little quiet week. Maybe some violence, maybe not some violence. Who knows? We never know. So, what indie books did you read this week?
I only read 4. Jesus, what is happening here? Okay, so this one was really weird. I'm gonna show it on here, but I'm gonna
Vermilion. Yep, knew it.
Did you happen to pick this one up?
No, my shop stopped carrying Behemoth because they know that they're not that great. And
Yeah.
I don't trust Behemoth enough anymore to pre-order them. Listen, they've burned me way too many times.
Yeah.
At this point, I kind of wait for you to talk about it, and if you say it's great, then I give it a shot.
Vermilion was interesting, but it also it feels like peak Behemoth 100%. It's done from a point of view from someone. I don't necessarily know their gender, but I could guess based on the gaze. But this character, they basically take this character home and have relations with them, and I can't tell if she's the monster or the person that we're seeing the point of view is the monster, but it starts off black and white and then just gets bloodier and bloodier. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that part of the writing. So, and I don't know if this is spoiler E, but little bits of like blood and little bits of red show up on the panels. But then by the end of it, like the entire page is just red. So it's pretty interesting. It's a kind of sexy book, but sexy in the way that someone, I don't know.
They have it listed as Vermilion number 0. So does that mean this is it? It's a one shot, or is it a prelude?
It feels. I didn't know that it was number 0. I just assumed it was a one shot. So I wouldn't be surprised, because Behemoth kind of does that. I feel like they kind of like dip their toe in the water, and then if it's successful, they'll be like, okay, let's go ahead and like do like another. But yeah, it wasn't. I hate reviewing things like this. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. What I
just kind of middle ground.
It was middle. I would definitely say if I knew that another series was coming out and maybe I got more backstory, I liked the art enough that I was okay with the mid story. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think the concept, like, it makes me wish I picked it up. The concept that it starts off and then gets bloodier and bloodier, that we don't see that a lot, and that's why I like comics, because you can push the boundaries of creative storytelling, and I don't know, it's just neat to me. I think it's neat.
Yeah. So Scott is saying it's based on 2 Slipknot songs. I don't know if that's meant to be.
Wondering that, because I'm like, Vermilion, that's Slipknot? Question mark?
Oh, I had no clue. I don't know. I know metal, but I don't know new metal very well. So but I'm not apologizing for that.
Oh, come on. Would we consider Slipknot new? Are they new at this point?
Well, when new metal is coming out, so it's old new metal, I guess.
Old new metal.
Yeah.
Old new metal. Thanks for calling me old.
Oldie station.
Thanks for calling me old.
Classic rock. Didn't know that. If this does come out with another one, I probably will pick up a new series, because I liked the design, I liked the art, and I thought the story was interesting enough, but obviously I don't get too much of it here. Based on 2 Slipknot songs.
Another new book that came out this week from Image. Bloodstained Teeth. Did you get a chance to read it?
I did.
Oh, no, you didn't like it. Oh, no.
No, what?
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God.
I was going to say, so this one is done by Christian Ward, who...
It's his first writing credits.
Yeah, and so I was surprised. I had to keep going back. Patrick Reynolds is the artist, Heather Moore is the colorist, and Hassan Otsmani El-How I'll go ahead and just put the name up here so you can see. That's the creative team here. And yeah, it's Christian Ward's first just doing the writing as opposed to doing the art. And I was pleasantly surprised, because I wanted Christian Ward to be doing the art because I love their artwork. But
that was, I think, so to preface it, I was really excited when this book was announced. I was really, really excited. I was rooting for this book. I read this book earlier in the week with an early copy, and I was like, I opened it and I'm like, I swear to God, if this book is bad, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah.
And it was surprisingly very, very good, and we'll get into that. But I think the one thing I didn't like was, as I was reading it, I kept hoping and wishing Christian Ward would do art, just because his art is so gorgeous. And I feel like with the way that this story is told, his art would have been amazing on that. But I also understand that that's a lot of work to both write and illustrate a book like this.
100%. So this book is about vampires. It's set up in this vampire world, and what I like is
Like
that they give us,
a Neo City type world too.
yeah, and it's like setting up its own rules for vampires. So, for instance, only the first vampires can create children. They can create new vampires. And there's another rule where it's like you can't drink your children's blood. It'll make you sick. And so there's a couple things in here that I'm like, "Oh, I like this mythology that it's creating. I like this
This
world
world
that it's."
building.
Yeah, for sure. And it did give me a lot of vibes of Philadelphia, which is a,
Yeah.
set in like modern times in a city. And even though Philadelphia doesn't necessarily go into like the mythology and the rules of what being a vampire is, this I the artwork in this one did remind me of Jason Sean Alexander, where it's very kinetic, it moves a lot. So I do think that Patrick Reynolds did a really fantastic job. And as Scott, the colors I think are what really make it for like
Yeah, the colors are great.
a vampire book, which could easily be just like the darkest book that you've read.
And it could get lost in the mix, and I
Yeah,
feel like this doesn't. And I feel like it was like a couple weeks ago that we were joking that we're tired of seeing vampires. It feels like vampires, we're burning ourselves off on vampires in terms of comics. There's so many vampire books coming out right now that it's hard to keep track and to differentiate them. And then this came out, and it kind of set the standard and set the bar. One of the things I really liked about this book is, right after we're set up with that mythology, we're introduced to our main character, who we find out is one of the old ones who can make little baby vampires. And, when you think of like vampires, especially these old ones that they, come off as is, oh, they're refined and elegant. And this guy almost seems like a drunken rich boy where he's
yeah,
like, I'm literally going to sell vampirism off to anybody who can give me 10 grand. And I'm like, listen, buddy, 10 grand, that's it for immortality and to be a cool vampire. Like, I would suspect like 50 grand, maybe 100 grand for that. 10 grand. Listen, I don't have 10 grand laying around, but I can come up with it real quick if you want to make me a vampire, and we'll see where we go from there. But I do. I really liked this book a lot. And I feel like Image has been really hit or miss lately. And this reminds me of good classic horror Image, but not necessarily horror in the way that you think of. So like Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I don't necessarily. So this guy has created lots of like vampires, and I know this is kind of like spoiling it, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it. He then has to go and he has to kill all his children who he has made.
Yeah, and that's your cliff hook.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a very, very good hook, because we've been introduced to this character who really doesn't care about the offspring he's created. I mean, we've already established he's willing to take 10 grand, make you a vampire, and then dump you on the side of the road. So the idea that he's now going to have to track down all of these people is interesting, because it's like, here's the thing though, if you're just taking 10 grand and I've seen the car you drive and the house you live in, how many vampires have you made? We're going to be in this for a while.
So I think this will be a really fun series. It's not, as far as I know, a limited series. So this could probably go on. It was described as like 100 Bullets meets like, but with vampires. So if you liked 100 Bullets, I think this is a really good premise. I really want to see more and more of the mythology, like more and more of how, like, I don't know, the vampires like operate with their hierarchy and stuff like that, and the personal political drama that comes with it. So yeah, I liked it a lot, actually. So I didn't break your heart there. As soon as I brought it up, and I'm like, so, and you're like, oh no, you hated it. I did like it. I will be adding this to my list.
It was good. It was good. So another book that we had from Image Comics this week, it was the 3rd issue. Did you get a chance to read Step by Bloody Step?
No, I didn't. Should I read it like right now on
No, you
stream?
shouldn't read it right. You shouldn't read it right now. I mean, you probably could, because it's a silent issue, but
yeah,
it's good. So Step by Bloody Step, we're on the 3rd issue. It is by Cy Spurrier and, oh god, I can't think of the artist. You have the book, don't you? Please tell me the artist.
I do.
Please tell me the artist.
Lopez. Give me one moment. So the story's by Cy Spurrier. The art is by, Mattia Bergara. Colors by Mateus Lopez.
Awesome. So this series has been a really interesting one because it is completely silent. We're on issue 3 so far, and not a lick of dialogue has been spoken. I mean, there has been dialogue, but it's been in this weird glyph language type thing. And it has started off as the story of this younger girl, which we now learn is more of a young woman. Or maybe the story is just progressing through. It's really hard to tell, but at the same time, I think that's what's really beautiful about it. But she's basically with this stoic protector that's a person that almost seems linked to a machine. And it gives me, without ever seeing it, it gives me Full Metal Alchemist vibes. I know that much about the story. It gives me Full Metal Alchemist vibes.
I know like two things about Full Metal Alchemist, and
it's not either one of those.
It's not. I mean, it may surprise me, but
you know, and it's kind of just told this story. And the first issue was really, really strong. And then the second issue, which we got last month, I was like, I'm not really feeling it. I might drop this title. I'm really glad I didn't, because issue 3, I think, has been my favorite issue yet, because it made me realize how much storytelling and how much emotion you can get across even without words. And I think that when we look at the writer, when we look at the artist and the colorist respectively, you know, it almost feels like they should be pushed to the front of the credits, and then Cy Spurrier should be, you know, because normally it's writer and then artist. I think this time around needs to be artist and colorist and then the writer being credited, because, you know, this book could exist without Cy Spurrier, but it could not exist without its writer and artist.
It is. So
artist and colorist. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What? Look at me thinking like a big brain, and then things magically happen.
So I didn't open this book up before. Like, I didn't even and I'm doing that now. And seriously, like, if you can see me, I'm like, oh my God, like the artwork is just absolutely stunning.
It's a good issue.
100% hand in hand with the colors, because it really just, it makes it pop. This is a beautiful book. And I think this is a 4 or 5 issue limited series, right?
I believe it may be 5. I might double check.
I feel like every time we talk about this book, we say that. We're like, I think it's 4 or 5.
We don't actually know. And like, I keep going back and forth of like, do I want this as a full trade, or do I want this as issue by issue? And I think with how this ends, with the cliff that it ends on, it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm really, really excited to see where this book goes.
Same. I will probably be getting both the single issues and the trade, because
it looks like it is going to be 4 issues.
Okay, so this is the penultimate issue. We get one more issue after this.
That's a hell of a penultimate issue too.
Yeah. Absolutely stunning. Okay, I'm really trying to not like consume.
Yeah, don't spoil yourself.
Sorry.
So what other indie books did you read this week?
I've got 2 more. One, I don't think that you get this one single issue by single issue, but it's Season of the Bruja. This is issue number 2 that came out. It's done by Erin Duran and Sarah Solar. It's about a young woman who practices magic, and a lot of it is like family-based magic that was kind of like passed down or taught to her by her elders, and that she's kind of like channeling this energy that's given to her. In the previous issue, something happens. Her grandmother passes away, and then she is taken by the police, and then other family members have to come and get her. And this is just, it's so beautiful and it's so fun. It's done by Oni Press. So this is definitely a young adult friendly read. And I think that young adults will get this book a lot and find a lot of comfort in this. There's kind of like a little bit of found family along with like actual family drama, if that makes sense. It's really good. Issue 2. Probably also, I think, 4 or 5 miniseries. Yeah.
It seems like a good one. I'm sorry. I'm sad I missed out on that one, but it's definitely one that I have my eye on for when it comes out to trade.
And Aaron Duran is actually a local writer here, so I got the first issue and I got a couple signed issues because they are local, which is pretty cool. Hi, Al. Good to see you. Oh, hey. So Comic Shop News, I know that you put the link in the chat earlier, but we did, this is who we did Mouse with. Yeah.
So another book, because I'm pretty sure I know what your last book is. I have one more indie book, and it was the final issue. This week was the final issue of Hotel, which was the 5th issue for volume 2. And I can't stress enough how good this book is. Like, listen, if you want a good horror book, a really good anthology-esque horror book, but yet ties it all together, Hotel from AWA Upshot is going to be that book. I know we've talked about this book several times on the channel, but just to kind of recap, it's about this little motel hotel in the middle of nowhere on Route 66. And each individual issue is usually about a different scenario, a different family coming through. Yeah. And in this final issue, they made a really, really good line of, you know, the hotel finds you when you need it most to combat your inner demons and your guilt and whatever else you may have bodied up inside of you. But the final issue takes all of those stories that we've seen through the first 4 issues and ties them up into one big story. And that's one of the things that I really love about Hotel is as certain things are happening in issues, you'll get a glimpse of something that happens in a later issue from a different perspective, and they always refer back to it in some sort of way. And it's fantastic. It is creepy. If you just want a really good horror read, if you're a fan of like American Horror Story, I immediately think of American Horror Story when I read this. This is going to be the book for you. It's so good.
I'm really glad that I picked this one up because I didn't pick this up until the first volume was finished. And you're right, like it is an anthology style where like each story can be read separately, but they do kind of like click at some points, like they're little puzzle pieces that fit in. And so for instance, in the first one, you have, I'm trying to remember, like a couple in the hotel room and then someone comes to the door, and in like the second one the person who was at the door was like, that's who you see their story. So like they're all interconnected. You definitely want to read all of them. And yeah, this one is issue 5 out of the second series, so hopefully another
this is one of those books where I could see it. You know, I give a lot of things shit for being like, oh, you're just doing a number 1 again. This is that one exception to the rule because it feels like each set of stories all link together, and it's a good way to differentiate, and it's not a bad way of being like, oh, well, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 all together, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all together. So one exception to the rule where I will take a million number 1s over just continuing the series.
Yep. 100%, but I'd highly recommend it, especially for fans of horror, like the artwork and the storytelling. So really quick, John Leese is the writer. Dalibor Talajic. Really sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. And then Lee Lafride. So is Dalibor Talajic. They did my favorite story from last year, Casual Fling, right? And was John Leese, were they the writer as well?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I feel like I'd remember that. Yeah. And if it is, wow, what a difference.
What a difference.
What a difference.
But this is probably, 2 years ago, I did a video that was like top 10 horror of the last 10 years. This would have definitely been on that list if this had come out. So once again, highly recommend Hotel Hell by AWA Upshot.
Very, very good book. So I have one indie comic left. I'm pretty sure it's the same one that you have. Yep, and there it is. So this is Saga issue 58. How are you feeling about this one? Because I've got...
You know that I have a theory from the last book.
So I read this book with your theory in mind, but I'm pretty sure that theory is now out the window.
I still stand by my theory.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Because of course, I'm going to go into it. I'm going to look for any little, and I still see it. Especially, especially whenever the one character's like, "Good night, princess." I'm like, "Yep, yep."
And I was like that too until he had an interaction with the other Reese character, and he's like, "I know who you are. I know what you've done. Does your partner Alana know?" And for those of us that don't remember, Jen, what is your theory? Scott is asking.
Okay, so I'm gonna give um, anyone who has not read, does not want spoilers, please mute. As soon as I'm done talking spoilers, I'm gonna put the comic down. So as long as this is up, I'm talking spoilers. I'm gonna give you about 5 seconds to leave. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so my theory for this, at the end of issue 54, Marco dies. Spoiler alert. Marco dies at the end of issue 54. I think that the guy that Alana's been hanging it's still up. The guy that Alana has been hanging out with is Marco.
In disguise.
That's what I think. In disguise. And at the end of the last issue, you get to see someone, the one guy is talking to the person that I think is Marco, and is like, I've seen lots of things done. So anyways, I think that he had some type of surgery, some type of magic, something happens, because then the person that he gets accused of being the name is a blue name, and it's spoken in blue. So that's why and like I said, he also calls Hazel princess. So that's why I think that, and I
Shit,
can't
I might
remember.
be back in. I might be back in on the theory. I think I'm back.
Yeah. So anyways, I think that that's Marco, but okay, no more spoiler talk. I'm going to put it down. Okay.
Yeah, I think you might be right. In terms of how I felt about this book, because we've talked about it a lot since Saga has returned, where it feels very alien-like to us. I feel like we're slowly starting to get back to that point where it's starting to feel more familiar. It's less shock value, if you will. And part of me wonders if maybe it is just the writing evolving, or maybe if it is just, or maybe if it is just the fact that because Saga has been gone for so long that it's a weird readjustment period. And I hate to say that about a book because it is a book, but I feel like I'm going through a really weird adjustment period where somebody that I have known and loved has been away for a very long time, and now they're back, and now I have to get used to it. I don't know. It's weird.
It is. The pacing also feels very different than a lot of the other Saga books, where it would be like, I don't know, the pacing would be like, okay, we're going to go through the issue, cliffhanger, major cliffhanger at the end. Major cliffhanger at the end. And there's been that a couple times in the series, especially that one issue that I fucking hated that made me want to throw it against the wall. But then the next, I don't know, it is doing that thing with my heart, but in a little bit of a different
down. It's a roller coaster.
It is. And now that I'm thinking that, the next issue, 59, is probably going to be the end of the arc. Would that be?
It is, isn't it?
Or maybe issue 55. Maybe we've got 2 more, but Saga's one of my favorite series ever, and it's a little bit disappointing to feel disappointed in this series, and literally that theory that I just mentioned is the only thing that's keeping
you going right now.
Where I'm like, ooh, just give me a little bit more. Same thing with crossover, where the only reason I'm reading it at this point is like Solid Blood 17. Yes, I am, because I need to know that Solid Blood 17 is part of crossover.
You're too much.
I am. So anyways, this series has such a big special place in my heart. I'm really hoping that my theory is correct. If it's not, then it's not, but yeah.
It would be cool if it was, though. I think it would be I think it'd be an interesting twist for those that haven't really thought about it and analyzed it the way that you have, because until you brought that up to me, I would never have thought of it. I would have never thought about it. So that is it for Indie. I think now we have DC or Marvel. So as always, chat, you get to decide. While you are deciding, I am going to go on a little tangent because there was another book that would have been in the indie list. And that is The Naughty List from Aftershock Comics. Unfortunately, my shop, I wasn't able to get any from my shop. Could not find this book anywhere digitally. I'm basically preaching that if Aftershock were to respond to me back about being on the press list, we wouldn't have this problem. So if anybody has a good hookup for Aftershock and getting on their press list, let me know, because Image, I was on that press list, and that was the big one, and I'm really surprised about that. But
It does
Aftershock,
surprise me.
Aftershock, boom, they're still avoiding me, and I don't know why. Y'all are getting on my nerves.
Maybe it's because we trash talk so many. They're like, nah,
But I love
nah.
Boom. I love Boom.
Yeah.
I love Seven Secrets and Eat the Rich, and there was another book that I really liked from, like, Something is Killing the Children. Like, I need Staple Spine says that they're an Aftershock person. Listen, get me hookups with review copies. Thank you. Bye.
I do have really quick while we're waiting on the chat to decide whether we want to go to Marvel or DC next. I've got 3 other indie books that I didn't read, and one is Something is Killing the Children, issue number 22. I am kind of excited to read this because it introduced this new character, and I really just want to learn more about them. So I'll be reading that a little bit later today. I did also get Bylines and Blood issue 4, which is a pretty fantastic series.
And that's the final issue.
This one is. Oh, I thought maybe we'd get an issue number 4. But
that's 4, isn't it?
I thought it was a 5-issue series, but it could be a 4. Maybe this one is the final. That wouldn't surprise me. But this has been a really fantastic series that I've really been enjoying. And then this is the final issue of this one, but the last session, published by Mad Cave, issue number 5.
Love
D&D, but for like Gen Z millennial nerds. It's queer as heck, and I really like it. It's really fun. So really I'm kind of sad to read this last one, but maybe they'll do another last session. Because it's
the last session.
Last session. The penultimate session. Maybe they'll do the first session.
Something to think about. So it looks like we're getting a lot of comments in for DC. So I guess we're talking about DC next. What you got?
I don't want to disappoint anyone, but I only have 2 DC books. I bought, but I haven't read, Detective Comics. Batman Detective Comics I didn't read, but I picked it up.
Batman?
I don't know why. I really cannot tell you why I bought this, but I know I pre-ordered it. So that's why I'm really surprised, because I'm like, do I need to read issues 1 through 10,058 in order to catch up? Because I've read maybe
a lot
10.
Of stuff.
Just kidding. I'll get to it eventually. But the 2 that I did read this week, the first one is Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 6 of 12. Did you read this one?
Yes, okay. I did.
I liked it because, hold on, let me it's written by Tom Taylor.
So that's why we like it. There you go. That's all you need.
Yeah. Artwork by Putri. I don't know their first name. Yasmin. And then the colors are done by, let's see if it tells me here. Wow, I cannot read that. It's really small. But anyways, I liked this issue because it's very heavy on John Constantine, and going through what they're going through. I really like it. There's someone who dies in one of the previous issues, and maybe it's because I read a lot, maybe it's because I had forgotten that someone died. So we basically just get to see John Constantine being, in mourning, and going through his morning ritual, and his other morning ritual, which is just heavy drinking. I thought that was really cute. But I think because it felt like a really long time since issue 5, I'm like, wait, who died again? But anyways, what did you think of this issue?
I think about this issue the way I think about every issue, and that's, I absolutely love the world that Tom Taylor and Yasmin Putri have created. Like, I would honestly be happy with seeing 1,000 issues of Dark Knights of Steel. Maybe not thousands, but I would be happy with seeing very many, because it's like, just the idea of like Amanda Waller being captain of the guard, the idea that these Robins are like special footmen for Batman. It's little things and places where people are. It's very similar, I think, to when we read books like Bombshells or Gotham City Garage, where it was like, we're seeing these characters in different situations and different places, and it's just really creative and really unique. And it's nice to have a book that I can kind of turn my brain off for and just have fun and read it.
Yep. Exactly. Like it's these characters that you're familiar with, but instead of doing a reboot in another issue number one of a series or whatever it may be, or it being an event. I'm so glad that this is not an event, because that would just be miserable. But yeah, I'm really digging this series. I can't wait for the series to be over and collected, because then I think that's when a lot more people are going to
Are
have
gonna read
access
it.
to it. Yeah. If you're not reading it single issue by single issue, it's halfway through now, a little over halfway through. So still catch it if you can, because it's pretty gosh darn good.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of events, there was a little book that came out this week that I decided I'm not going to read it just because. And that was Justice League 75, which was supposed to sport the big bad death of the Justice League. And I read it because why not? I'm going to read it. And I didn't hate it. I am actually like sitting there and I'm reading it and I'm like, man, maybe I should be reading Justice League. I never thought about that, but maybe I should be reading Justice League. So Justice League is done by Joshua Williamson, with artist Rafa Sandoval on it. And first of all, I just have to say Sandoval's art is gorgeous. Like the way that they depict these characters, holy shit, it's gorgeous. This book is just absolutely gorgeous. So I feel like I should be reading this book because of all of the characters that are in it. You know, you've got like John Lantern or John Stewart, Green Lantern. John Lantern. You got John Lantern in the book. You got John Stewart, Green Lantern. Kendra Saunders is Hawkgirl. Green Arrow and Black Canary are in it a lot. But then you have some other weirdos like Black Adam. Like, when did Black Adam become a good guy and is in the Justice League? I don't know. I don't care. I'm here to read it. But I'm kind of upset because y'all did not tell me that this is the book I needed to be reading to get my Black Canary Green Arrow fix, because there was a lot of moments between the two of them that I'm like, oh, this is so cute. Like Oliver Queen following her through a teleportal or teleportation portal. I don't know. She's being zapped away and he literally grabs onto her shoulder and is like, you're not going without me. And he's like, I would follow you anywhere, pretty bird. And I'm like, this is why I loved him.
Wow.
I can't do this. And then, spoiler alert, they kill Green Arrow. And I'm like, this is great. So, I mean, granted, this is what I was getting into when it was supposed to be Death of Justice League. That being said, like 2 people died. Like Black Adam died.
Oh, spoilers.
Black Adam died. Nobody cares.
I mean, I guess we know it's called Death of Justice League.
Death of Justice League. Spoiler alert. You want to know who didn't die? Batman. Batman safe and sound. So whatever. He can do whatever he wants. But I didn't hate it. I really liked some of the writing in this. I liked the character interactions between characters, and it kind of reminded me of seeing like a cross between like the old Saturday morning Justice League Unlimited and reading some of the who wrote it, but like the Justice League of America series and how those characters would interact. I didn't hate it and kind of want to go back and pick up more. So we'll see. But that being said, this is supposed to be the start of a new event, the Dark Multiverse or something, or Dark Crisis Multiverse. And it's just, it's too much. It's too much.
It kind of stinks because...
And the book apparently was like $6. Why?
Oh. Yeah, that's stupid. No, I'm just kidding. I spend a lot of money on comic books. I could never call anyone stupid for spending. But anyways, I feel like maybe I should be this person, because I need someone to tell me where I need to pick up with the Justice League in order to know where this is going. Like, I know Joshua Williamson recently, within the last year, picked up starting to do the Justice League. So is that where I need to start? Do I need to go back any further? Because I'm not as big of, like, I don't read specific DC things. I bought a couple of Hawkman trades a while back because I'm like, oh, I really like Hawkgirl. How can I get more of her? So that's what I need.
I got you with the hookups, but
Okay.
I was actually surprisingly, like I said, I surprisingly enjoyed this book a lot. Like I said, I think I'm gonna go back and try to find more of the stories and maybe go back and trade. Um, because I remember when Scott Snyder was originally writing this book and it was really, really boring. And then Brian Michael Bendis was writing this book and it was really, really boring. And maybe I just need to give it a shot now. So I don't know. And considering that I jumped into issue 75 without reading anything else and was able to kind of grasp what was happening, seems pretty decent.
Yeah. I need like a
And
YouTube video. Sorry.
and nobody told me Captain Carrot shows up. Any book that has Captain Carrot in it is a good book to me. Is this your first time hearing about Captain Carrot? Because it is
No.
a very real character. For those of you that don't know, just Google Captain Carrot right now. He literally looks like the Trix Bunny in a
Yeah.
superhero costume. It's pretty fucking fantastic. I
That
love Captain Carrot.
that's one thing that, like, you know, if Marvel and DC are going to be superheroes, I feel like DC definitely does not apologize for some of the wackier, zanier ones that they have at all. So I'm about to set up a Google alert for Captain Carrot just to know anytime that Captain Carrot pulls through.
We're rooting for you, Captain
Okay.
Carrot.
Did you have any other DC books?
I have one other book. What else did you have though?
I know you don't have the same one other book that I do because you hate me. But Swamp Thing.
No, I don't have Swamp Thing.
Issue 12 of 16. When this series originally came out, it was only supposed to be 12 issues. And then somewhere around the midpoint, I guess they were like, hey, Rom V, you deserve a lot more. So we're going to give you 4 more issues. Rom V, as well as Perkins and is it Matt Perkins? Oh my goodness. And Mike Spicer. Let me double check on that. I thought that this issue was pretty interesting because Swamp Thing ends up going into this like industrial hellhole.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty cool. Tiffy Holland has her moment, but then it looks like she walks away, which is kind of I just need more of her. Y'all know I love Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is my boyfriend, and
Swamp Thing is life.
I love him forever. So I will be reading this no matter what. But I do think that because the series got extended a little bit, got those extra 4 issues, which I really love. I'm really glad of it. There's still things that are like unresolved in the first arc that I'm like, you need to bring that back. So I'm hoping that they do end up wrapping that up neatly in the next 4 issues. So Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing.
Okay, what's your last DC?
So the last book I had was Rogues #2, which is a black label, an oversized black label book, written also by Joshua Williamson with art by Leo Max, who did Basket Full of Heads over at Hill House Comics. I talked about this book last month and how it absolutely blew me away. It was probably my favorite book that I had read that week because it completely blew expectations. To kind of recap it, Rogues follows Captain Cold of all characters. Who gives a fuck about Captain Cold? Not me, but now I do, I guess. Captain Cold has been on probation for years. He's older now. He's out of the game, but he feels like life is not fulfilling, and he decides to get the gang back together one last time to rob Gorilla City of all of their gold. And I just really liked it because it focused on older characters and their perspective of being a villain and then trying to transition into a normal civilian life, but being unable to.
And not just like older characters, like they're characters that have been around for a while. Like they're literally aged characters.
They're aged characters. Like they're in their 50s and 60s. And it's like, what else do I do with my life? This is all I know. This is the only thing that gives me feeling and meaning anymore. So I'm just going to continue to do what I do. And I really, really appreciated it. And I thought it was really, really interesting. Issue 2, I believe, was, it was pretty good. I can't say it was nearly as good as issue 1. And I think that the reason for that is because I went into issue 1 with no expectations. And so because it ended up being something completely different that I wasn't expecting, obviously I'm going to care and be more enthusiastic about that. But I think in terms of the storytelling and what we're doing and the type of story we're telling, if you're a fan of books like Secret Six by Gail Simone, which I'm a huge fan of because I love villains, this is definitely a book that you want to have on your pull list and on your radar. I believe it's only about 3 or 4 issues. It's a pretty good book. It's definitely one of the better things that DC is doing right now.
I definitely appreciate the comparison to Secret Six, because that's a really fantastic Gail Simone book. So like aged Secret Six, where like Secret 60s.
Secret 60s, I'll take it. Listen, I would give my child, my non-existent child that will never ever come to be, because children are gross and yucky. I will give my non-existent child to Gail Simone to have her write another rendition of Secret Six. Okay. That's all I want. That's all I care about in life.
Yeah. 100%. So I like that you mentioned that, because that makes me wish that I had picked up issue 2, but I didn't love issue 1 enough to pick up issue 2, and it wasn't on my radar. Because when you're like, I have one more book, I'm like, what other book could you be talking about? So I'm really surprised.
It's one of those surprising books. Yeah.
Secret Geriatric 6. Yeah.
Love it. So that's everything that I have for DC. Is that everything you have?
That is everything that I have for DC, because I just picked up Knights of Steel, Swamp Thing, and then Detective Comics. And I think it's because Ram V has a backstory in it or something that I'm like, oh, I need to pick this up.
I need to pick it up. So I guess that only leaves Marvel. And there was a couple new number 1s this week, so I think we should save those maybe for the end. But a book that I did pick up from Marvel this week, surprisingly enough, was Punisher number 2. Did you get a chance to read that?
I picked it up. I did not read it though, so you've got to tell me about Punisher number 2.
Punisher is doing this weird thing right now where he's in Japan. He's working for the Hand, and he's like their champion right now. And basically he has this deal worked out with the Hand where they're like, if you go out and you kill all these people for us that are bad people, because Punisher only kills bad people,
because he punishes them.
If you go out and you kill all these bad people, we will resurrect your wife. And so it's kind of interesting, because part of me is like, Punisher's been around for how many years now? A lot?
Yeah.
40 years. Why hasn't anybody thought about doing this before? It feels like that should be the most obvious thing. We want to give the Punisher character development. Let's dangle his dead wife in front of him. Let's see what we can do with it. And that's what we're getting in this. But surprisingly enough, I'm actually really, really enjoying it. We're getting to see some of his backstory in issue 2 when he was a child, and how he was actually kind of a sociopath even before he lost his, family. We also get the interesting thing, and I was thinking the same thing before it was, written on a page. He has his wife back, but what about his children? Because his children also died alongside his wife, and now his wife is like, hey, when are the kids coming home? And he's just like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really like it, and I kind of like the idea of the Punisher, this bad, stoic man with, I don't want to say no feelings or emotions, because obviously he's got a lot of feeling and emotions and trauma and should probably go to therapy. I like seeing him in this new element. It feels very like Wolverine, when Wolverine would go to Japan, and it was just like this fish out of water story, but not quite. I'm surprisingly enjoying it. And I've never read a Punisher book before. Okay, that's a lie. I have read one Punisher book, and it is the greatest Punisher book of all time. It's a little book called Space Punisher. If you have not read it, read it.
I need a full synopsis right now of Space Punisher.
It's Punisher. He's in space. He's fighting people in space. The Hulk is in space. Like, it's like all of these characters, Marvel characters that but they're like weird, grotesque, alien, not quite themselves. It's one of those like Dark Knights of Steel where we're just going to put the Punisher in space and we're going to see what we can do with it. It's stupid. It's fun. It's Frank Thierry and Mark Texeira. And it's just really cheesy, early 2000s, late 90s. It's great. Just read the book. Okay. It's fantastic.
You sold me. You said Space Punisher in space, and done. Now that you say that, about this issue, it makes me think, like, who is Punisher when I wouldn't necessarily say when he doesn't have the trauma, but like, who would Punisher be if his wife was there? Like, is he still going to be a Punisher? Is he still going to focus on revenge. Because, you know, that's what people say. Like, even if you get revenge on something, is it really justice? Does it really bring dead people back? Are the kids going to come back? So it's pretty interesting.
It's a very interesting book. It was
Sounds
good.
like I should
It was
probably
good.
read it.
It's very good. You should probably read it. If I'm reading it, you should probably read it.
Okay. Done. What other did you... I picked up a couple. I'm going to show off the books that I picked up but didn't read.
I have two books, and they're both number 1. So, process of elimination: which books Mars read and which books she didn't.
So I got Sabretooth number 3. It's been a pretty fun series so far. I also got Carnage number 2. Haven't read it yet, so I have no clue what's going on. And then, of course, because for the love of God, I don't know why, but I'm still hanging on to the series Aliens.
Why? Why are you still reading that series? Please help me. Help me. Help you. Why are you still reading the series?
I hope it's about to end. Please let it end.
Please.
I think it's just because I forget. I'm like, oh, I need to take that off my pull list, and then I don't.
Womp womp.
Okay, so I've got a couple books. Some of them are variant covers. What number 1s did you get? I'm hoping you got one.
Which one do you think I got? Which one?
I really, really hope that you got Knights of X.
I read Knights of X.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I'm glad. Basically,
she ain't gonna be happy with what I gotta say about Knights of X, but I read Knights of X.
You say horrible things about X-Men all the time, so it wouldn't surprise me. I enjoyed it because it's like D&D, but the X-Men. I need character sheets. I need little missions to go on, little campaigns to go on. I need monster stats. Listen, I need a whole...
Did we read the same book?
Did we?
Because I did not get that vibe.
What?
Because here's the thing, if that was the vibe that you were getting, I would have been okay with this and I would have enjoyed this book, but that was not the vibe I got.
Wow. Okay, so break my heart. Tell me, what was your vibe for Knights of X?
I did not like it. I don't know what was going on. I didn't know any of these characters. Okay, that's a lie, because I know Shatterstar. I know he's gay. I know he shows up in Deadpool for like 10 seconds. That's my extent of knowing Shatterstar. I know Gambit, because of course, who doesn't know Gambit? I kind of know Captain Britain, but I'm also very confused about Captain Britain because apparently she's Psylocke, but she's not actually Psylocke because, fun fact, I went my whole life thinking Psylocke was one person, and then when this whole Dawn of X stuff happened, I was informed that no, Psylocke is apparently multiple people, and one person is trapped, and yeah, it was a mess. Who else is in this book? I don't know anybody else in this book. Oh, fake ass Emma Frost is in this book.
Yeah.
Remember, I posted a picture of her and was like, oh, I love this Emma Frost cover. And everybody's like, that's not actually Emma Frost, you dumb fake X-Men reading lady. I
guess based on that, I could probably see why. Because that's, yeah.
So, hashtag hear me out. I think I'm just coming to terms. I know I've said it multiple times before. I'm coming to terms with the fact that the whole Dawn of X saga and everything that comes after it is not for me. I'm not having a good time with it. The only time I ever had a good time with the Dawn of X saga was Trial of Magneto, surprisingly enough, a fucking event comic.
Was, like, after Dawn of... at the end of
it. But it's still within that whole, like I said, everything that has come after. And I think it's because I had to turn my brain off to the Dawn of X saga stuff and just focus on the trauma of Wanda Maximoff. And that's why I liked it. But I think where my frustration comes from with any new number 1, it seems to come out. I feel like unless I have read every single series, every single issue, every single spin-off, whether it's a number 1 or not, I'm getting lost in the dust. I feel like because I did not read Excalibur, I have no idea what's going on. Because I did not read Hoxpox, I do not know what's going on. And as a outsider looking in, because I'm sorry, I very much am that type of person where X-Men should be accessible to everybody because the X-Men are one of the most popular things. And because the X-Men are such a wide range variety of characters that it feels like anybody who picks up a comic is going to find at least one, if not 2, 3, 4 X-Men that they can relate to, that they can call their favorite. And every time I read one of these books, I feel alienated. And I'm that comic girl. Like, I shouldn't be feeling alienated when I read comics on a regular basis. So if that's how I'm feeling, imagine how, you know, John or Jane Doe, who are in a comic book shop, are like, you know what? This cover looks really cool.
Yeah.
I remember watching the X-Men as a kid. I really like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Let me pick this up. They're not going to know what's going on.
No. And, you know, one of the things that I wish was made clearer in the dawn of X, like, you know, the Hickman era of X-Men, is that when you have titles like Marauders, Excalibur, New Mutants, when you have all of those, I thought that it was supposed to be more of, there's a title out there for everyone. You don't need to read Marauders to know what's going on in Excalibur. However, I do think that if you had read Excalibur, you would have liked this. And that kind of makes me angry, because it's like, why are you just rebooting when this could literally just be another arc of Excalibur?
Mm-hmm. And we've talked about that. And listen, if this book of Knights of X was literally just the X-Men version of Dark Knights of Steel,
yeah,
that would be fun. I would be all for that. Let's put Emma Throne up in her castle where she belongs. Let's have Sebastian Shaw be the Warring Kingdom. Let's split the X-Men up, put them on either side. We'll put Magneto in here as this like unstoppable third army. Marvel, I just pitched you what is probably going to be the greatest X-Men book ever written. # hear me out. I am available for hire.
I think that you definitely should be writing some X-Men. I do think that X-Men could be so much more accessible. Like, there should be a title that it's like, if you know nothing about X-Men, this is the one that you pick up. And I don't think that right now there's any X title that could be that, with the exception of, I think that even if you haven't read Hoxpox, even if you didn't watch the animated series, you could easily pick up House of X 92.
Yeah, I was actually going to say a different title.
Oh, what title would that be?
I was going to say Unlimited X-Men, because we saw with Unlimited X-Men that it was a digital Marvel Comics only, and now they're printing it out. The first issue was just a fun Wolverine story, where it was just Wolverine up in space, slashing his way through shit, messing around with people, and I'm like, wow, this is probably, because, again, I read Trial of Magneto. I love Trial of Magneto. Definitely one of my favorite comics. Did I have fun reading it? No, I did not, because I was traumatized. But Unlimited X-Men #1 was probably the most fun I've had with an X-Men title since X-Force Sex and Violence.
Got it. You didn't get a chance to read the Gary Dugan Duggan Phil Noto. You didn't get to read Cable, did you?
I have not gotten to read Cable yet. It has been on my list. I've heard the way people talk about it, but I'm terrified. Anything within this, like I said, anything in this realm of X-Men, I'm like, I want to read it, but I know as soon as I pick it up, I'm gonna be like, I'm a dumb idiot with a goldfish brain, and I have no idea what's going on, because it does. It feels like this era of X-Men is for smart people, and anybody who has the size brain of a goldfish like myself, we are all being left in the dust.
I think you would enjoy Cable. I don't think that it's enjoyable. I think you need very little backstory, which it easily explains in order to, but once again, that's not a main X-Men title, and I shouldn't be talking about a little bit more of an obscure one that's like, oh, this is the most accessible. So # hear me out. Make X-Men more accessible.
Make X-Men more accessible. Make X-Men fun again.
Yes, make it. X-Men is fun, but I really do. I'm standing behind my thoughts on Knights of X. It's like more D&D X-Men, but there is a lot of talking. There was a lot of panels.
There's so much talking. I just wanted them to start hitting each other with their swords. That's all I wanted.
Just let them hit swords. All right. I feel like this Knights of X is turning into this year's version, because we're getting a toned down Hellfire Gala this year. Like, it's only going to be one issue. It's not going to be. So I
But
feel
that
like
might be
this is.
better.
I think that that'll be better. But I do also think that this could be the Ten of Swords event that happened last year, as opposed to it being like a whole ass event. Maybe they're just putting it into the Knights of X. That's my only theory.
Make X-Men fun again.
Accessible. All right, I've got a couple more Marvel books. What other issue number ones do you have?
I only have one more book. So
Okay.
what else do you have? Because it was a very quiet week and that is not the book that I have, but
This is the second. So this is the second and last, because this was only a 2-issue series for Hulk Grand Design. If you liked issue 1, pick this one up. It's pretty easy. I just wanted to stare at this book forever because it's just beautiful. And it's just going through Hulk's history, publication history, as well as like a character history. And it also pays tributes to all the writers and artists at the end of it. So really, really enjoyed that there. I don't even know that much about Hulk, but it was fun.
it was neat.
Yeah, I just think he's neat. So anyways, I have one other issue 1, and I think it's going to be the same as me.
Probably.
Amazing Spider-Man?
Yes. Okay. I was like, who is that character? I don't recognize that. But yes, that is the
I got the Gleason cover, so I ended up pre-ordering this one because I'm like, oh, the last time, is it Gleason? So the last time there was like a Gleason cover, it just blew up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and pre-order it and keep it because I like it. What are your thoughts on this?
So I'm going to preface it. I'm not a Spider-Man fan at all. I have read one Spider-Man book in my life, and that is The Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man by Tom Taylor. It is the only Spider-Man book I've really, really enjoyed. Okay, I mean, I've read like other ones, but like that's the only thing I've really enjoyed. Even when it comes to like the Spider family, like I love Spider-Woman, but Spider-Gwen, Miles, something about the spiders that just, it does not stick with me, and that's fine. Okay? Not everybody has to like Spider-Man. I'm one of those people. It's fine. So I picked this up, but I'm like, I know Spider-Man. I've played the Spider-Man game. I've seen all the movies. I know his rogues gallery. I got into this book, and I'm like, what is going on? This is not a number 1. This is a lie and a sham to get money, because you really need to know what happened, I guess, in whatever issue Spider-Man we left off to know what's going on, because apparently Peter Parker's a dick. Mary Jane has kids. They're not together. Aunt May thinks that Peter Parker's a dick. And I'm like, all right, Peter, what did you do to make Aunt May so mad at you? And the worst part is they don't even tell you. They just expect you to know what's going on. And it's not fun. Listen, Peter Parker, he's depressed. He's sad. Everybody's mad at him. Everybody thinks he's a dick. So you know what he's not doing? He's not being the fun little neighborhood Spider-Man and throwing out jokes every 5 minutes, which is probably the only thing that could keep me reading this book. Why does this book exist? Not only that, why is JR doing the art for this book? Like, listen, John Romita Jr., if you are listening, I'm going to give you some advice. I need you to retire. Okay? And if you don't want to retire, then you can take yourself over to Frank Miller's publishing company and make yourself exclusive over there, because my dude, your art has not aged well. And honestly, I'm tired of seeing these older artists continuing. I mean, listen, get your money, chase your money, do what you got to do. But these older artists have such a unique visual style that in today's modern way of doing art, it does not work, especially when we come to the color work of it. It makes no sense at all. This book was awful. Why does this, please, Marvel, I know you want money. Why does this book exist other than the fact that you want money?
Yeah. It sucks because, once again, along with X-Men, I feel like Amazing Spider-Man should be one of the most accessible. And I think at this point, Spider-Man has become Marvel's DC, become
Marvel's
Spider-Man
Batman.
has become
Or
Marvel's
DC's
Batman.
Batman? Yeah.
And it's like there's so many different titles. There's so much history at this point. Like, just give Spider-Man, give Peter Parker every iteration, every clone.
Give him a
Like,
break.
either just let Miles be here or just let Gwen Stacy, let her take over, do something, because there's a lot of history. And even for in the chat, so Reverse Amoeba says that they haven't missed an issue of Spider-Man in years, but you can't figure out what's going on. That makes me feel a little bit better. But
Yeah, if you don't know what's going on, then there's absolutely no hope for me who picks up the occasional Spider-Man book.
yeah, exactly. So please stop rebooting unless you're really, really going to make it accessible, unless you're going to make it like Spider-Man life story. Unless you're going to make it a story like that, then just don't.
Then don't do it.
Yeah,
Just don't do it.
don't do it. Just don't do it.
Stop. Get some help.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much like all the single issues that I read, but I know that you've got a couple things that you want to show off because you got some fun stuff. Show me the fun stuff.
I did. So as I stated at the beginning of our show, I went to a shop that it's called Their Action Figures. It's about 40 minutes away from me, but we were in town, so I was like, I want to stop at the toy store. I won't buy anything, I promise. I just want to look. And then
Narrator.
I realized they were having a sidewalk sale with a bunch of comics for $1, and they also had graphic novels that were 50% off cover price. So I'm like, interesting. And it was so bad to the point where I was like, all right, I have to cut myself off and put stuff back because I paid rent. I can't keep doing this. So this is what made the cut and what I did pick up. So there's some really good things here. This first one is this Russell Dauterman variant for Hellions number 13. If you've seen my Instagram, I have been obsessed with these Russell Dauterman design variants, and I now want to pick all of them up. That being said, while I was at the comic shop, I saw the Inferno incentive variant for Emma Frost, and it is at $40, which I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Why is it $40? Just let me have the Emma Frost one.
Was it a ratio variant? So
It
is
was
it
a
like a
ratio
one?
variant. So, and that's what's making me upset with these Dauterman variants, is because some of them are ratio variants and some of them are 50-50. And if you're a completionist like me and want to collect them all, good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. So that's Hellions. I picked up this one that I think you'll really like. This is a variant for Marvel Voices Pride. I believe this was from last year, featuring your girl Angela. I know I had to pick that up. This is Black Widow number 9. I actually owned this when the series first came out. It was one of the first Marvel books that I was reading when I first started reading comics, and then I sold them. But I was always obsessed with this image of Natasha sitting on the Punisher logo like it's a throne. I just think it's really cute. Was able to get my hands on this Women of Marvel variant cover featuring Laura and Gabby, which I'm obsessed with because my shop didn't get this in, and apparently this book is selling out because the artist is hot right now.
Who is the artist?
Oh, I have no clue. Somebody drop it below because I don't want to open it and squeak on camera.
Can you tell me the like, is there a signature?
There is a very weak signature. I think it's Ashley something.
Oh, okay.
But her work is blowing up right now, and this is selling for like $12-15, and I'm like, I'm gonna pay that. So I found it for $1. This I found. It is X of Swords number 1, featuring magic. It's a Peach Momoko cover. Yes. I don't actually know if I own this or not, but it was $1, so I'm gonna pick it up anyway.
For $1, then you got 2. Yeah.
This one, if Stapled Spine Horror Zine is still in the chat, they'll be very happy about this. I finally got Darkhold Omega, which they have been blowing up my Twitter and our show's comment section that I need to be reading. I did read this last night, friend. It is a very good, it has some really great Wanda moments. To put it bluntly, Wanda kills Dr. Doom, and it's fantastic. And I'm like, good for her.
Good for her. And really quick, just to mention, Stapled Spine here says that not next weekend, because next weekend is Free Comic Book Day, but the following week they're actually going to be out here in Portland at Cosmic Monkey Comics, helping with the signing for Paul Tobin.
Ooh. So very exciting. And speaking of hold on. I got some Paul Tobin for you. Hold on. We got that. So finishing up the dollar bin finds, I finally found the first printing of Catwoman 39, which sold out and I was unable to get my hands on. So I'm glad I got that because I am a fake X-Men fan. This Peach Momoko cover featuring Destiny and Mystique because they're lesbians and I love it. This
They're
I had
really good friends.
They're just really good friends. This I had ordered from my shop and they never got it in. So I'm actually kind of glad because now I got it for $1. It is the Jen Bartel cover of Stephanie Brown for Robin's number 4. Again, and the last one for single issues because I'm a fake X-Men fan. This cover featuring Mystique because when this was released, I was like, I really want to buy it, but I'm trying to get better at not spending $4, $5, $6, $7 on something just because I want it for the cover and holding out and waiting to get stuff in a dollar bin. So this is definitely one of those.
Your dollar bins are a lot better finds than the dollar bins here. I don't know if that's just because there's like dumb bitches like me spending that dumb bitch money and will spend the like $6, $7 on a cover like that, or if our dollar bins just get fished. But the dollar bins here in Portland, the comic shops are great. The dollar bins are not. So you get much better dollar bins than I do.
Womp womp. And then there are some really cool half price trades that I picked up. So again, these were all half price, cover price, and I'm really excited about some of them. Wonder Woman Hikatea, which is the greatest Wonder Woman story of all time. I actually did a Wonder Woman recommended reading video where I said this is the one Wonder Woman book you need to be reading. How I don't own it, I have no clue, but I do now. We talked about Paul Tobin earlier. This is Heist, How to Steal a Planet from Volt Comics. I was reading this in single issues and collected a bunch of them and then fell off of it. So I'm really excited to have this in trade. It is a thick, chunky boy. And then I picked up another Volt title. This is Bleed Them Dry. This is actually a exclusive variant cover from Kinokuniya Books. And it features the artwork from the dude, and I can't think of his name, but the dude that does all the artwork for Final Fantasy.
Yoshitaka Amano.
There it is.
Is that it?
Thank you. I'm very bad at that. And then the last thing that I didn't buy it, my partner bought it, but I stole it, and this was because I was like, can you buy this, please? The Multiverse Role-Playing Guide. Y'all, do I have to explain why I wanted to pick this up? I don't have to explain it, right? It's obvious, right? It's because I like dice. I don't know. So this is actually cool. We were flipping through this yesterday. It is literally a like player's guide manual for like a D&D style game set in the Marvel multiverse. And it gives you all of these guides of like how to create your character. You can be a mutant, you can be a street level character, you can be a superhuman or a metahuman. And I don't know. I think it's really cool. And I was telling Jen backstage, I was like, listen, we need to get something going where somebody needs to be hosting this and we need to be doing live D&D sessions. And so if that's something y'all want to see from us, let us know. Because I personally have been wanting to get something like that for a while going. And this might just be the push we need to get Jen to agree to it.
100%. I really enjoy DMing, so let me know. I will or Game Master 100% would do it.
I want to do it so bad.
Do it.
But that's everything that I picked up. Really, really big stuff. Very exciting stuff. But we have a big week ahead of us. So we have Multiverse of Madness comes out. So I may Multiverse of Madness, I'm seeing it opening night. I may or may not be here on Sunday. Marvel, listen, I swear to God, I know this movie's already made, but I swear to God, if you hurt Wanda Maximoff, and everybody keeps joking that, it's the Multiverse of Madness. What if they kill, my brother and my partner both like, well, what if they just kill off one of her versions? And I'm like, no. They put and harm an ounce of hair on little Wanda Maximoff's head. I don't care how much she has done to deserve it. I will cry.
Hear me out. What if they go full Trial of Magneto?
They won't do that. It's been too soon.
Yeah, it's true.
I cried at Trial of Magneto. I will cry.
I'm very excited for this.
I'm very excited. I think this is the movie I've been looking forward to the most, just because it is more Wanda, as I like to call her. But we also have other big things because this weekend is Free Comic Book Day. Free Comic Book Day is this weekend. It is the first official Free Comic Book Day on the first Saturday of May since the pandemic. So it's pretty huge. Tons of free titles that are available. Definitely go out and support your local shops because I'm telling you right now, these books are not free for your shops. Your shop has to pay for these books. So please, when you're going up to pick up your free comics, please buy stuff from your local shop. They are always running sales and discounts. And I'm telling you, they've always got special goodies that they don't have out any other time. Definitely go out and show some love to your local comic book shops this year.
I am especially excited because it is the first weekend in May. Last year it was in July or August, and it was just too gosh darn hot outside. So I think the weather is finally going to be pretty nice. There's a couple of different titles that I'm really excited for. And then I'm really excited because my shop has 2 new food trucks, and they're going to be doing a third, which is going to be vegan ice cream, but they also have a waffle food truck. And I just can't wait to go get waffles and some comics. Yeah.
Nice. Sounds like a good weekend. So we've got a big week ahead of us, kiddos. And looking at the comics that are coming out this week, it's just going to be a big week. So tune in next week. We are going to be having a big episode of Casually Comics back here again at our regularly scheduled programming time of 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm bad at math.
Yeah. So please make sure that you put up the notification bell so then you know if we're going to go morning or evening, but the next 2 weeks are going to be the morning. So
of course. And then don't forget, because we got to plug it right before we leave, our Casually Comics merch store is now open. I've just dropped a link down in the description below. There's actually always a link down in the description below and links in the comments. If you want to support us, if you love us enough that you are crazy enough to wear our merch out in public, please feel inclined to do so and tag us in all of your pictures and purchases because we would love to see it.
I really want to know. That's it for me this Sunday. I'm really excited. Coming back next Sunday, I can't wait to talk about the comics that I picked up for new comic book or for free comic book day. So I'm really excited.
Comic book day.
New comic book day. So it'll be new and free comic books. So I'm excited for that. And then of course the what am I trying to say? Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness.
Ooh. Okay.
And it'll be the finale of Moon Knight. So yeah, we're packed. Yeah. We're stacked, packed, and ready to cry. It's fine.
Okay. Well, friends, thank you so much for being here this Sunday. We will see you next Sunday, as long as Wanda Maximoff doesn't get killed in Multiverse of Madness.
Well, one of us will be here. One of us will be here.
It could just be me. But thank you all. We love you and hope you have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.